Accessing library computer data.
Hello, and welcome to my playthrough of the Rendezvous Mission that came out with the Dakir as part of the Wave 5 expansions. The Dakir was sent to retrieve a Vulcan crew member from a Federation ship that had its mission cancelled due to negligence, which led to the destruction of the colony on Paraagan II. The Federation ship failed to make the scheduled rendezvous while attempting to obtain proof that they were framed by the Suliban. The Dakir is now being sent into Suliban space to find out what has happened to them. Upon arrival into Suliban space, the Dakir finds a number of cell ships attacking the Federation vessel. It is now up to the Dakir to assist the Federation ship and help them bring evidence to the Vulcan High Command. So the Federation ship I chose is the Enterprise NX-01. I chose this ship because this is what is in the episode Shockwave Part 1, where this mission kind of takes place. It is not a good ship for this mission. It lacks the speed to go fast enough to clear the cell ships, as you're always in range 1, as they have the exact same max speed as you. The one nice thing about it is you may equip the enhanced hull plane for free, as an absolute necessity if you're going to play this mission with this ship. For the captain, I chose Jonathan Archer. The extra crew upgrade was kind of nice. The captain skill is irrelevant. Elite talent slot, kind of irrelevant. The one nice thing about him is that if you do not take an auxiliary on the first turn, you could probably actually use his action and guarantee that you get a hit on one of the cell ships. Throwing 5 attack die out your rear arc isn't too bad. Otherwise, he was kind of useless in my playthrough, as I was constantly under an auxiliary token. Took this card as it was the only elite talent that comes with the NX-01. Pretty useless in my playthrough, kind of a useless elite talent regardless. So I really don't have much to say about it. I took Phlox because if I was ever able to actually use Jonathan Archer's action, Phlox is a nice way to undisable all of your crew upgrades, so I could possibly use it again. Never got the chance, but that was my intent with it. Aft phase cannon is actually really useful. Otherwise, with the NX, you'll never actually get a second shot, as it'll always be in your rear arc. Kind of disappointing that I was only, again, able to use it once, as I never had the action to undisable it to be able to use again. But a really useful weapon if you're around the scenario thematically. You have to take DePaul. This is the DePaul that comes with the Dakir. So that was pretty much my only reason with that. If I was going to take an action other than evade, it probably would have been a scan, as at least this gives you some defensive quality without perhaps taking the auxiliary token. Really never came to effect with my playthrough. Kind of with DePaul, if I was going to take a scan action with Hoshi Sato, may have disabled it to force the cell ships to roll on its attack die. That's probably not better than just taking evade anyway. Kind of just a filler crew that I could disable if I was going to use Archer. Travis Mayweather, again, just another filler crew that I could disable for Archer's action if I was ever able to use it. Now enhanced hull playing, the most necessary card if you're going to play thematic with the NX-01. I don't think you could even beat this mission without it. You need that extra defense. At best, the cell ships are throwing 12 attack dice at you on the first turn, if you manage to kill 2 of them with the NX and the Dakir. So an absolute necessary card. I definitely could not have even get close to finishing without it. The Vulcan ship, I used the Dakir. It's the one that the mission comes with, so I thought that was fitting. Plus, it actually has a pretty good ability for this mission. With Power Distribution Net, you're able to get to range 3 on the first turn against one of the cell ships, so it gives you 4 attack die with a pretty good chance of killing one of the cell ships even at range 3 with 4 attack die. And it has pretty good durability for the air with 5 hull and 4 shields. So I really don't think you can go wrong with any of the Dakir classes, as all of their abilities would actually be pretty useful in this scenario. But the Dakir I thought was probably the best one, at least on turn 1. There really aren't any good captains that come with the Dakir. I took Saval for the elite talent slot. Tavak would add a crew upgrade, but there really weren't any good crew upgrades to work with this mission. I was initially going to run decisive action with Saval, so hence the elite talent slot. But I found that I needed to get in range sooner rather than later, and I just wasn't getting there fast enough with using decisive action instead of Power Distribution Net. Probably the most useful card with the Vulcans is Power Distribution Net. It allows you to take an action and disable it, along with up to 3 of your active shields to immediately perform a green or white maneuver. So I was able to perform a 4 straight and then a 3 straight to get actually in range 3 of one of the cell ships on the very first turn. And since they're not firing at you, you don't really need to take an evade action. Plus with 4 attack dice at range 3, you're pretty good odds to actually kill the cell ship without having quality on your dice. The next tech we have is Power Grid. Whenever you're supposed to place an auxiliary token beside your ship, you may disable this card instead. I use this after I kind of come into the fray with the cell ships to make a hard turn to kind of get out of it. So it's kind of useful there. The last card we have is Aft Particle Beam. I took the one with 4 attack dice because it's better even without using quality. Better chance of getting the 2 hits that you need to kill the cell ship. Very necessary upgrade as well. You're going to be turning the aft of your ship is going to be facing the cell ships the entire time after probably the second or third round. So you're going to need some sort of attack so you're not constantly taking, 8, 9, 10 dice against the Dakir. As even if it's a more durable ship at the time, it still can't survive that many. And actually one of my runs, I died on the very last turn because I got 4 hits and I would have survived, but the last critical was a direct hit. So very necessary to be able to kill the cell ships as fast as you can. Alright, so let's get started with the scenario. This scenario is based off Shockwave Part 1 and 2 from Star Trek Enterprise, the Season 1 finale and the Season 2 premiere. So I'm just setting the dials for the NX and the Dakir. The NX, I'm going to do 3 bank to its left. I think with a 3 straight, you would hit the front cell ship token and not be able to take an action, which is super important to be able to take that evade action, especially when you have, 12 dice being thrown at you. So I take an evade for an action. And then I'm going to move the Dakir 4 straight. Again, you really need to get in range with that Dakir in order to kind of take out some more of the cell ship tokens. And then for my action, I'm going to use Power Distribution Net, which allows you to disable up to 3 of your active shields and move an additional maneuver with that disabling. So I disable 3 shields so I can move 3 straight. And then you're actually in range of one of the cell ships, range 3 of one of the cell ships after they all move. So moving the cell ships is kind of weird. They don't have a front. They're just a sphere. So I just kind of roughly use the template and move it along. If they bump, you just move them back to where they're no longer bumping each other. I start with the kind of closest ones and then move out from there. This mission is pretty hard using thematic ships. I'll expand more on in the outro, but this mission would be pretty easy if you weren't doing it using thematic ships and crew and tech. But kind of more of an extra challenge and a bit more fun. Well, I guess it was a bit more fun. It was pretty tough. I probably went through about 6 or 7 scenarios of this. So, the Dakir is in range 3 of one of the ships. So we'll get 4 attack dice because it has 3 plus range 3 bonus. So, I got 2 hits and 2 battle stations, which is hopefully enough to kill it. And then I roll an evade and a blank. The cell ships only have 1 hull, so 1 hit goes through, so that's enough to kill the closest one to the Dakir. And then the NX will attack the one that is in front of it, so you get that range 1 bonus, so you get 3 attack dice. I roll 2 hits and a battle station, which is enough even if the cell ship rolls an evade, which it blanks. So the front cell ship is done. So that's 2 gone. And now all the cell ships are in range 1. Again, I think this is a problem with the scenario, is that the cell ships get to combine their attack into 1, and then they all get a range bonus. So I'm throwing 12 dice from the cell ships. I'm starting with 6. I roll 3 battle stations, a critical, a hit, and a blank. So I'm going to re-roll the 4 that were nothing, plus 2 additional ones for the other 6. And I get 3 blanks, 2 hits, and a critical. So which is 5 hits total. Because in this scenario with the NX, anything more than 5 hits, I'll actually kill the ship. Could potentially kill the ship. I roll an evade and 2 blanks, and I use enhanced hull planning to take 2 auxiliary to convert those 2 into 2 evades. Plus the so I only take 1 critical. Sorry, I guess 7 hits would technically kill it regardless. Oh no, 6 would. Because at most you could have 4 evades. Oh no, it'd be 7 hits, yeah. So I take structural damage. Structural damage critical, which reduces the agility value by 1, but you can take an action to roll 1 attack die, and on a hit you flip it face down. This really changed my strategy, as I may have tried to just kind of clear my auxiliaries, but taking that structural damage to go down to 2 agility, I really just needed to get out of there as soon as possible. So, setting my Dallas for the second turn. So I re-enable the Cure Shields. The NX will go first. It'll do a 3 bank to its right. And no action because it has 2 auxiliaries beside it. The Decure will do a 4 straight to try to take some of the cell ships away from the NX. The Decure is actually pretty well off in this scenario. It's got really good durability for the time. And even with 3 attack dice, again, you're going to be at range 1 to 2 for most of it. Even if you're range 3, you get that bonus. So I take Battle Station as an action. And then I'm just figuring out here where all the cell ships are going to move. So, yeah, I think the range bonus for the cell ships is a little much. Because yeah, if you don't kill 2 of them, like at worst you're throwing 16 attack die against a ship. Even with no quality, you're probably going to get 6 to 8 hits. Or even more, potentially. As I had with the Rendezvous Mission, where I was throwing, 8-9 hits with 10 dice occasionally. So, luckily for me, it wasn't quite that bad when I was playing this. Even the ones I failed. And at least with this scenario, is that if your first ship, you'll know a lot sooner if your first ship is going to survive or not. Because really on the first turn is make it or break it. You really need a good dice roll if you're going to play this thematically on the first turn from the cell ships. So 2 of the cell ships move closer to the NX. The other 4 will move closer to the Decure. And I get the cell ships are kind of meant, in the episode, they kind of keep up with the Enterprise, but I think maybe a 2 maneuver would have been sufficient, as the NX cannot actually even outrun the cell ships, and the Decure can barely. As I think, until my final round, all the cell ships are always in range 1. But again, this really wouldn't be a problem if you were playing with any ship. So, yeah, 4 of the cell ships move closer to the Decure. Now the Decure will fire first at the closest one to it. So 4 attack dice again. I get a blank, a hit, and 2 battle stations. Convert the 2 of the battle stations into hits, so I get 3 hits and a blank. I roll an evade, that's still enough to get through. Accidentally remove the back one, was targeting the front one there. And then the NX will disable its aft face cannon to roll 3 attack dice against the closest one to it. So I get 2 hits and a critical, more than enough. It rolls a battle station, doesn't matter. So down to 4 cell ships. And again, all the cell ships are in range 1 of the Federation and Decure. So the cell ship rolls 2 attack die, a battle station, and a critical. I roll 1 battle station and a blank. I take an auxiliary to cancel the critical. And then the 6 attack die against the Decure. I spent my battle station token. I should have removed that sooner, but they get 3 battle station, 2 blanks, and a hit, which is a really good lucky roll for me, and a roll and evade. So a really good turn. Really not sure what I'm doing here. So no damage to the Dakir, which is really important, as in one of my turns I got to the last turn and the last sail ship rolled a hit and a critical, and I had 2 hull left. I rolled an evade. The critical was direct hit, so I died on literally the last turn, which was very frustrating. So next turn, the NX will do a 3 straight. Again, just needs to get out of there as soon as possible. Even if it's more important that the Federation ship gets out of there rather than the Vulcan ship, as to get at least a marginal success, the Federation ship needs to survive. And then the Dakir, I'm going to do a 3 turn to its left. Normally that's a red maneuver for the Dakir class, but because I have power grid, I'm going to disable that instead of taking the auxiliary. Again, the Dakir is actually in a pretty good shape for this mission, even using era tech with power distribution net, power grid. I mean, I could have expanded it to more captains, but I really want to keep with what was in the pack. There aren't a lot of great Vulcan captains anyway, but so all the sail ships will now move towards the Dakir. So there will be 4 of them, and again, they're still all in range 1. It's really hard to get out of that range 1 using era ships. So the Dakir will disable its aft particle beam against the closest. I get 2 hit, 2 crits, a hit, and a battle station. The sail ship rolls a blank, so it's dead. I take the closest one to it. And the sail ships will attack with 6 die. Get 2 blanks, 2 battle stations, a hit, and a critical. Dakir rolls a battle station. So I take 1 to the shield. So the Dakir is actually still in pretty good shape. Some of the turns I've had, it was down to 1 or 2 hull at this point. So I've had some really nice and lucky dice rolls from the sail ships. So the NX again will do a 3 straight. Really need to get out of there. I mean, it's under so many auxiliary, you'd have to keep doing 1 and 2 to even clear them. And down to only 2 agility, it's really hard for it to, I think, be effective. So I kind of took my chance with the Dakir surviving long enough. And then do a 3 bank to its left. I'll undisable aft particle beam. And then all the sail ships again will move. So there's 3 left. Okay, and then the Dakir will disable aft particle beam and target the closest one again with 4 attack dice. I get 3 hits and a battle station, really good roll. The sail ship rolls and evades, so it's still enough to get through. And sail ships with 4 attack die. I'm just measuring to make sure they're still on range 1, which they are. So we have 4 attack die. Well, that was, 3 hits and a battle station. The Dakir rolled a battle station, 2 hits and a crit. Really doesn't matter. The Dakir rolled a blank, so all the shields are gone. So I still have 5 hull left. Okay, back dials. NX again, 3 straight. Still have the 3 auxiliary tokens, but it's out of harm's way for this mission. Dakir again will do a 3 bank to its left. Kind of straighten out a bit towards the north edge. And as an action, I'll undisable aft particle beam again. I mean, you could also do an evade, but I thought it was more important to try to cancel 2 attack dice rather than cancel a hit. I mean, statistically it's the same, but knowing some of the rolls I've gotten doing this in previous games. So, Jakiro again, disable. Half particle beam. I got 2 hits, crit in a battle station. Cell ship rolls a blank. Cell ship rolls two blanks. So, sorry, the Dakir's attack was 3 hits on battle station, and the cell ship rolled an evade, but it's more than enough to get through. I'm just checking the rules here to make sure winning conditions. And then deciding, I'm not really sure what I'm considering here, because it's pretty straightforward. The NX will do a 3 straight, and we'll leave the play area. So it's safe. So I at least guaranteed myself a marginal success here. Dakir will then do a 4 straight, and again undisable F particle beam to try to kill the last remaining cell ship. At this point, you could probably take the evade and be okay. I'm finally out of range 1. So 4 dice against the cell ship. So yeah, just measuring. It is range 2 just in case I need to fire. So I got 2 criticals I hit in a battle station. The cell ship rolls a blank. So that's it for the cell ships. And a complete success. All it's left to do is kind of finish out the game. So the Dakir will do a 4 straight. Kind of turn it around there. It's actually just a hair off. So then the next turn, skip my action because there's no point. I'll just do a 1 straight to clear the area. And that's the mission. So I ended up with a complete success. I had played a couple times with a marginal success. So yeah, the NX survived with 2 hull and a structural damage and a critical hit. The Dakir had 5 hull left and nothing. 5 hull left and no shields. As with the V'ger mission, this can be pretty frustrating using thematic era-only ships and upgrades. The Dakir isn't actually too bad off. Lack of a useful captain that comes with the Dakir is kind of a bummer, but there are some really nice generic upgrades like the stronger aft particle beam and the power distribution net. But man, is the Enterprise NX-01 in rough shape. Unless you get a really lucky first roll with the cell ships in which they do no damage and you do not take an auxiliary token, you'll just need to get out of there as fast as you can while using the aft phase cannon once, as you won't have the action economy to enable it again. Enhanced hull plating is an absolute must using the NX, and pretty much every other upgrade on the ship is useless as they all take an action. This mission would be very easy now in an unlimited setting. Picard 6 from the Stargazer with Picard Maneuver and Janus Strand, and you could probably get pretty close to finishing on the first turn. Or even if you used a different ship like the Prometheus or Intrepid class, you really wouldn't have an issue getting out of there pretty quickly. I think another frustrating mission that relies all too much on dice luck if you're trying to play somewhat thematic. I think a couple suggestions would be that cell ships do not get a range bonus. On the first turn, they were throwing at best 12 dice at the NX, and even if you get the odds, the NX would be dead as you can't have more than 5 hits or criticals, and you need at least 1 evade plus the 2 from enhanced hull plating to survive. I think maybe another suggestion would be Dakir starts on either the east or the west side rather than the north, so they're a bit closer and can, maybe take out 1 or 2 a bit sooner. At least on this one, it was sooner over compared to V'ger if you failed. As you pretty much knew on the first turn if you're going to make it or not.